Hi everyone, my name is Tamara and this is episode 3 of the Caffeinated Craft Mamas podcast. My podcast all about my knitting and crocheting in Southwest Missouri, where I live with my partner Richard, our 3 kids, and our dog. I hope you all are well. It is frigidly cold here in Southwest Missouri. We're about 15 to 20 degrees below our average. 20 degrees, icing, little bits of snow. We're on day 3 of ice days, so kids are home. We'll see how many times I have to edit out interruptions during this podcast. Fingers crossed it will be 0, but let's go ahead and get started with our content. First thing I want to talk about is what I'm wearing, which is also my first finished object. This is my Long Walk Cardi by Nicole of Farm Fresh Knits. It's a test knit that I was doing for her. And it's a bottom-up construction. Here's the back. It's a thigh-length bottom-up construction. It's a really neat idea. You knit a gauge swatch with the yarn and the needles you're wanting to use, and then you input your gauge swatch information and your measurements into the spreadsheet, and it calculates a sized cardigan for you. So it's a really cool concept, and it worked really well. The cardigan fits me. I knit this out of Lion Brand's Wool Ease in the colorway Oxford. The only thing I will say about this yarn is I finished this sweater 4 days ago, and I'm already getting some pilling. And this is a mostly acrylic yarn, so I was really surprised by the amount of pilling. But since it's been 20 degrees here in Southwest Missouri for the last week or so, and it's projected to be in the single digits by Monday, I have basically lived in this cardigan since I finished it. I really enjoyed it, so if you want to go over and follow Nicole at Farm Fresh Knits on Instagram, she should be announcing when this pattern will be released soon. Okay, next up is actually something I can't show you, so I will input a photo. I finished Richard's Valentine's Day socks, and I went ahead and gave them to him a little early, and the poor guy was home yesterday with a migraine, and he wore them all day. And then I went to go look for them, to wash them and put them on the sock blockers to show on the podcast, and I realized he'd worn them to work. So I'm really happy that he liked his socks. They fit him really well, and that they are bringing him some comfort on a day he didn't feel very good. There's nothing quite like knowing that something that you made for someone brings them that much joy. So it made me really happy. And I also finished my random Felici socks. So these are a toe up 60 stitch, sock made out of a random ball of Felici and a silver for the toes, heels, and cuffs that I had in my stash. I have not worn them yet. They're on the sock blockers and I have washed them. First time I've ever blocked a pair of my own socks. I think I got the wrong size sock blockers on accident, so I may be looking into getting another pair because these are a little small, and they were really small for Richard's socks. So, but they were 60 stitches on a US size 1 needle magic loop. I did afterthought everything, so I just knit a really long tube, cut in, did a toe and a cuff, and then popped in some heels. I'm drinking today out of my A Woman's Place is in the Resistance mug. If you can't tell by the fact that I've worn a Star Wars shirt for the last 2 episodes of this podcast, and now I have this, we are huge Star Wars fans in this family, and my stash edition for next week should include something that is very Star Wars-y, and I am very excited about it. So anyway, I'm drinking salted caramel tea from Bigelow. It's probably my favorite right now, and I needed a pick-me-up today because it's been a long day. But it's still really hot. Okay, so since I finished 3 things, I, of course, immediately had to cast on a few things. And the first thing I cast on was something for William. It is his Dino Rawr Mini. This is a pattern by Meg at Bad Wolf Girl Studios. I don't have a whole lot done. I'm only 5 rows into the color work. So there's that. I'll show you a picture. I don't want to show you anything. So this is her Dino Rawr Mini. And it is sizes 6 to 12 months all the way to size 8 to 13 years. So I bought this pattern. I'm knitting one for William. A friend of mine, her little boy asked for one, so of course I had to say yes. I love it when kids ask me to make them things. I am knitting this out of Knitpicks Mighty Stitch in Alfalfa, and then some Lion Brand Jeans yarn from Stash. This cake is a mess, so I apologize. I caked it up a long time ago. But this is actually some yarn that I knit William a sweater. I knit him a flax sweater when he was less than a year old. So I'm really excited to get to use this in another sweater for him. I'm knitting the 4 to 5T size in the hopes that this will fit him not only this year, but next year and maybe the year after. He's pretty tiny. He can still fit into a lot of his 18-month clothes, even though he's 2. So I'm hoping that this will fit him for several years. Okay, one thing I will say about the Knitpicks Mighty Stitch, I don't know if anyone else has used this before, but it has split for me horribly. I don't know if it's how I'm picking up the yarn or what I'm doing, but I had a heck of a time keeping it from splitting when I was casting on this sweater. So let me know in the comments below if you've had that issue with this yarn or if it's just how I knit. Okay, let's see. What's next? Oh, okay. So I cast on another pair of socks, my Lord of the Rings bag by Lila Styles. And my mom had mentioned that she wears a lot of maroon while she teaches, and she didn't have any maroon socks. I was like, well, I can hook you up. So I just cast on a little toe, as you can see. And these are actually going to be the Hermione's Everyday Socks. Now, this is a pattern by Erica Lueder. It's free on Ravelry. I'm not sure if you can get it anywhere else, but you can probably look her up on Instagram. And it is a cuff down pattern. It's a 4-row repeat. And I have a friend that knit these socks, and I asked her, I said, could I just flip the pattern over and knit toe up? And she said, absolutely. So that's what I'm planning on doing. I haven't got that pattern started yet, but I do have it written down. And I'm planning on doing a Fish Lips Kiss heel for the heel. And I'm just going to do these one at a time because this is actually my first ever patterned sock. Never done one before, so I want to just try one before I jump in and do 2 at a time with the patterned socks. But they're super cute, and if they work out, I'm really hoping to do a pair for myself. All right. Oh, and that is Knitpicks Stroll Fingering in the Hollyberry colorway. Okay, grab another sip of my tea. I haven't done much adult talking today, so my voice still is a little tired. Okay, next up is actually my crochet whip. This is my cousin Abby's graduation gift. I haven't done a whole lot on it since you saw it last time. I do need to pop a progress keeper in here so I can keep track. I've been trying to do 3 rows or so a day. As you can see, that did not happen the whole time. But this is going to be based on a photo from Megan of Megan Makes Do on Instagram. It is a free pattern on her blog, and I will insert a photo of what it is going to look like, but it's just going to be these colors instead of the random rainbow colors that Megan did. I think it's going to be really pretty, and I'm really excited about it. I just need to get to working on it. Unfortunately, I've had a bit of a case of cast-on-itis. Wanted to start all the new projects rather than work on existing ones. Okay, next up is an update on my Cozy Memories blanket. And I showed this on my first episode, and I'll probably show it just every other, because I typically only work on this on Sundays, but I got bit by the Cozy Memories bug, and I have added these 3 squares. Now, I don't know what all of these are. If I know, I'll let you know. This was one from Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted that I got this year. This is Mint Rain in her Batman colorway. This is a Knitpicks Felici, and then I ran out and I didn't have the ball anymore, so I just did a little square of the gray. This is yarn. The purple is the one my mom dyed, and the green is the one I dyed using tie-dye last year. My mom and I just did that one day. This is a Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted. This is some yarn that I won in a giveaway. And it just came with a couple of minis, so I just strung them all together. And this is a Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted, excuse me. And honestly, I really could use a whole skein of this. These are typically not my colors, but this just makes me so happy. I would love a whole skein of this. So I've gotten all those put in there. It's growing quite nicely. I added an extra row. I was doing 9 squares, and I was working on it one night, and I wrapped it around my shoulders, and it wasn't quite long enough for me to, you know, here, I'll show you. Okay, maybe. It wasn't quite long enough for me to squeeze all the way around myself. And it wasn't quite wide enough if Richard and I were sitting on the couch next to each other for us both to use. So I added the extra row. This is going to be at least another year whip, because I do have some more minis in here, and I'm hoping to participate in the Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted again this year. But it takes me between 8 and 10 grams for a square. I may end up needing to sign up for like a mini swap or something like that to be able to get enough minis for my blanket. Okay, and I am just knitting this. The pattern is Cozy Memories Blanket by Shelley DuPont, and I'm using a US 3 needle. The pattern, I believe, calls for a 2, but I had a 3, so that's what I used. Okay, so those are all my current whips. I have some future casts on though, due to the weather and the start date of a make-along. I have not started these projects yet, but I will grab them, and then I have a couple stash editions. Okay, so the first one is a stash edition and a future knit. The stash edition is the bag. This is a bag by Knit by Nature on Etsy and Combs ML. I'll put it on the bottom of the screen on Instagram. And she was running a sale on her fall and winter bags, and so Richard ordered this for me. Just a little Christmas cupcakes bag. Has a fun lining on the inside. And this is going to be the Santa's Workshop Sweater by Meg of Bad Wolf Girl Studios. This podcast is by no way sponsored by Meg, but I absolutely love her and love her design, so you will see a lot of her stuff featured here. I have another thing that's hers that I'm going to talk about in a minute. So this will be the body of the sweater, and it's a top-down color work yoke Christmas sweater. So I also have Christmas green, Christmas red, a little bit of silver, and some just white. The white is Paton's Kroy, and the rest of this is Cascade Heritage, just their solid sock colors. And I'm gonna knit it with a little bit of Positive Ease in it. I've never knit a fingerling weight sweater before, so it's gonna be an adventure. I would have already had this started because this is going to be my entry in the archive cowl hosted by Allison and Vivian of the KCACY podcast, but I have not been able to get to my local library because of the ice. When our schools are closed, the libraries are closed, and I need to print out the pattern. I didn't trust myself to try to do a pattern of this magnitude on my phone. I am a paper pattern kind of girl. I like to have it in front of me. So my next future knit is also in a bag by Knit by Nature. And this was the bag that I was really excited about. And yes, it's a Halloween bag, and no, I don't care. I will use it all year. Because I absolutely love the owls. It is my favorite color, and the Stars fabric glows in the dark. And then it's got this pretty gray polka dot on the inside. This will eventually grow up to be all about that brioche shawl. I really wanted to do a brioche shawl, and I knew that, let me see, Janelle June of J June Knits on Instagram, her and several other makers are getting ready to host a Great Green Cow on Instagram, and it's basically where you knit something green. It's from like February 15th to, I believe, March 31st. So I had 2 skeins of this. This is Pin Up Zombie by Bad Wolf Girl Studios. As you can tell, I told you I have a lot of her stuff. And I had bought this yarn 2 years ago with the intent of making a Sushui shrug with it and this black. And while the Sushui shrug is gorgeous, it's a pattern by Susanna Summers, I believe. It's gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. I am not in a place where I am capable of knitting something like that. And it's not even my skill level. It is just my amount of time. I have maybe 30 minutes where I get to sit down and knit uninterrupted. A lot of times when I'm knitting, I've got a toddler crawling on me, or I've got kids asking questions, or I'm helping with homework. And that pattern was going to require so much concentration on my part that I would start it and it would take me over a year to get it done. So I just decided to go ahead and use the yarn, use it up, and then later on, after maybe William goes to school, I can try to knit something of that magnitude. Because again, it's a gorgeous shawl. It's basically a shawl with sleeves. It's really neat looking. But I just don't know how practical it is of me to have a year-long whip right now. All right, and my last entry is in my Hermione Granger bag from Lila Styles. And this is gonna be a pair of socks. This is deep stash yarn. So this is Slurpy Swamp Sock Yarn by the Hippie Hobbit. I don't even believe she's dyeing yarn anymore. But this is also going to be an entry into the Great Green Cow on Instagram. And I am just planning on knitting a pair of vanilla socks for myself out of this. Hopefully I will have enough left. I might be able to get 2 pairs of socks if I do different toes, heels, and cuffs. And if I do a pair of shorty socks for myself, I might have enough to get Richard a pair out of here too. We'll see. I don't know. Okay. Well, that's about it. That went a lot faster than I thought it was going to. I think I say that every time though. Let's see, life updates. Not a whole lot's going on. William's still doing speech therapy. Unfortunately, his therapist has been in quarantine, so we've had to do Zoom meetings, and trying to get a 2-year-old to do a Zoom meeting is exceedingly hard. I'm not sure if our plans to go to Columbia in a week are going to work out due to the weather. It's very hilly between us and them, so we may have to postpone that trip until later on in the spring. So that's a bummer. I haven't talked to the kids about that yet. We're waiting to see what the weather does. We're projected to get between 6 and 8 inches of snow between Sunday and Wednesday of next week, and that's a ton for around here. I mean, yeah, we'll get 2 or 3 inches every now and again, but to get 6 to 8 inches and be in the single digits, that's awful for around here. So it's gonna be a rough next week. Kids are out of school Monday. Not sure if we're gonna get to do anything. Again, if the roads are gross, we're not gonna be going anywhere. So we're just planning on hanging out at home, playing lots of card games, chilling out, watching movies, and hopefully getting a lot of knitting done. I'm hoping to at least have the color work portion of William's sweater done when I podcast next time. So I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope you are safe. I hope you are healthy. And thank you for spending some crafting time with me. Bye.